Yes.
Testing.
Okay. Testing. Okay, we're all in. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. At this time, Ms. Lane, would you please read our board norms?
Board of Education norms. Number one, cohesive team. Pause to hear all voices after someone speaks. Consider all options. Assume positive intentions. Number two, collective agreement. Collective voices to reach decisions. Honor and respect the work of the board. Honor and supporting the board decisions at all times. Number three, be prepared for meetings. The board will review the packet's detail and submit questions within the established time frame. Members of the board will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start of the meetings. Administration will release board packets to the RGSD Board of Education within the identified time frame. Number four, not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. RGSD Board of Education decisions will be based on facts, policies, and procedures, not individuals' opinions or requests. Educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocols for voicing concerns. That comes from policy KC, community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
It's been motioned by Ms. Titsworth
Second.
and second by Ms. Williams to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. At this time, Riverview Excellence. Mr. Sinstruck, please.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues, community, and all of our scholars and parents who made it out today. You see, we have quite a few honorees. We will try to get through it quickly, but we definitely want to honor our excellent students and staff members. I'm gonna go a little bit out of order so we can do all the students and staff members from the STEAM night together. And so this is actually a little bit of a surprise. I had Newton go get Mr. McGee, Mr. Joshua McGee, come on up. Come on up.
Shh.
So, Mr. McGee, yes, Stace, come on right up here. Mr. McGee, of course, is one of our DSOs, and he's on duty tonight, as he is often, and we are recognizing him. He often goes above and beyond to protect the district and is willing to support everyone that he meets. And he was nominated. One day in particular, a staff member had a flat tire, and Mr. McGee, he went to his truck to get supplies to help the staff member to reinflate their tire. When it determined that that wasn't going to work, he followed them home on his lunch break and followed them to the tire shop so that they could get the repairs and stayed until he knew that she was taken care of. And so we want to honor him for going above and beyond and helping in that situation. And he's always a smiling face and comes here. He gives breakfast sandwiches out at times to people and is just a nice soul and spirit. So we wanted to honor you with Riverview Excellence. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Tasha Jordan for the STEAM night.
Remember, we're gonna do the golf clap.
Good evening, school board, Dr. Patton, community and colleagues. I'm here today to present Riverview Excellence for the participants of the district-wide STEAM night. So when I call your name, you'll come up to the front, take a picture with the school board. So first are the building liaisons. A huge thank you to the incredible people who made the magic happen behind the scenes at each individual school. From organizing school-level science fairs to encouraging students to explore and experiment, you've been the spark that keeps our STEM excitement glowing district-wide, and a number of them did show up at the district-wide STEAM night to assist. So first, we have Miss Belinda Henderson from Michelle Obama. Accepting the award will be Dr. Williams. Second, we have Miss Candace Anderson and Laura Brotherton from Meadows Elementary. They weren't able to make it tonight. From Coke, we have Miss Demetrius Butler and Dr. Green. From Moline, we have Miss Sharp, and accepting the award on her behalf will be Amber White, the principal. From Lemasters, we have Miss Dino, who couldn't be here tonight. From Highland, we have Miss Thompson. From Glasgow, we have Miss Sams. From Gibson, we have both Miss Brown and Miss Golden. From Lewis and Clark Elementary, we have Miss Butler. From Westview, we have Miss Stafford. From Central, we have Dr. Kim Robinson, who also serves as the Science Department Chair. And then from the high school, we have Dr. RJ. Okay, perfect. Second, I want to go ahead and recognize the district science fair winners. So let's give a big snap to our brilliant young scientists who won the district science fair. So for K-5, first place, we have the heart model from Miss Dino's 5th grade class. Second place, we have the floating egg experiment from Meadows. Third place, we had what liquid will clean a penny the fastest from Gibson. And now our secondary winners, first place, we have our very own Miss Jewel Minner with Earth versus Mars Soil War. Second place, we had Miss Robin Jackson, Solar Distillation. And then third place from Central Middle School, we had Miss Jemiah Vaughn with the Rusty Screw. Come on up. Good
So
job.
if we can have all of our winners and participants come up to the front and we'll take a photograph with the board. Don't be shy, come on up. You all want to come up, everybody?
So next, I'm actually going to recognize Mr. Antonio Hill from Coke Elementary, who was one of the winners for his building science fair. So Mr. Hill, if you want to come up to be recognized. And then board, you all can stay because we have one more. So last but certainly not least, we have our View Brew students from the high school who served delicious lemonade As the kids said, it was fire. I found out tonight that they served 95 cups of lemonade. So I really wanted to take this time to recognize them for their warm, welcoming touch to the evening. And a special thank you to Ms. Harris and her staff for her leadership and dedication and making sure that the night was extra sweet. So at this time, View Brew students, you all can come up to take a picture with the school board and the superintendent.
Yes, board, you are finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to. And I do want to say, as you are returning to your seats, board members, a little bit about the View Brew Crew. So they are located at Riverview Gardens High School, and they actually have a coffee shop essentially at the high school. And it is a business model where teachers can order, coffee, hot chocolate, different drinks. They work together in their course where they're able to fulfill those orders. They make the coffee, they make different drinks, they put it all together, they deliver it to the classrooms, and it actually is, it's funded, so people pay for it, and that goes back into the program. So it's able to teach them skills that they can use in the workforce, so that once they graduate high school or even now, they can go and get jobs and have those skills. And so they're amazing. I know that Dominic Lenoir, when he got to the high school this year, he called me and texted me 10 times and said, you got to come do something on the View Brew Crew. You got to come and do something. So we did a story on them, but I'm glad to honor them today as well. So thank you all. They're gone.
That is me. Thank you so much. So many good things going on. We don't hear enough about it. All right, at this time, Shay, is there any public participation? All right, thank you. Are there any board announcements? Well, I'll make an announcement. Go ahead.
I would like to congratulate our members of our board for their reelection. And then congratulate, there's going to be 2 new board members for Normandy that I saw as well. So congratulations to our board members for being reelected.
Thank you. And we certainly thank the community, our Riverview family, for all of their support, for coming out to the polls. We appreciate you, and we vow to continue to work hard to serve you and to serve our students as well, so that we can make Riverview Gardens our school of choice. Thank you. Ms. Lane, you have anything?
I think you said it all, President.
All right. Okay, at this time, I'd like a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
It's been motioned by Dr. Elliott
Second.
and second by Ms. Williams to approve the consent agenda. Ms. Jackson, you have questions?
No, she had already seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, second. Any discussion? Any questions? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That was easy. All right. At this time, we are going to call for our illustrious student representatives to the Board of Education of Riverview Gardens for their report. No pressure.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jewel Minner.
Good evening. My name is Keyshawn. Starting off, we have positive things happening at Riverview Gardens High School. First, on April 2nd, we hosted our annual all-male summit. This year, the summit was titled Project Manhood. This event was to inspire and guide our young men towards a successful future with various vendors and leaders who engage with our students, helping them understand the potential they can have in their lives.
Recently, our college and career advisor, Ms. Tijan, took some of our outstanding scholars on a college tour to Chicago State University. We believe that these trips really open up our students' eyes and opportunities to opportunities that exist beyond our daily experiences.
This past week, we began our end of course exams. We want to extend our best wishes to all students participating in these important assessments.
During the all-male summit, we also had the chance to engage our freshman girls in activities such as yoga, presentations, and creating vision boards, which focus on building leadership skills, communication, camaraderie, and teamwork. We hope they took away a valuable insight from this experience.
Some of the upcoming events happening at Riverview Gardens High School is this Friday, the Riverview Gardens High School Book Club will be hosting its very own murder mystery dinner at 6 p.m. Participants will have the chance to engage in an interactive murder mystery while working together to solve the case and find out who the murderer is. And of course, they will be eating a catered dinner. We are looking forward to a fun and exciting event for all staff, students, and students who have purchased tickets.
On May 1st, 2025, our senior class will celebrate Decision Day. This event is designed to be a joyful occasion for our seniors as they finalize their plans for life after high school.
On May the 9th, Mrs. Graham, our senior counselor, and the rest of our senior team has organized a special checkout day for our senior class. This day will serve as a celebration of all of their achievements and recognize a recognition of their journeys throughout high school. One exciting future will be raffle where seniors will can earn tickets based on the number of scholarships they receive. Competition is fierce, which is fantastic.
Coming up April 19th is our junior senior prom at the Chase Park Plaza starting at 7 p.m. A special thanks to our senior sponsor, Ms. Atkinson, and the prom committee meeting for all their hard work and planning an unforgettable event for us.
Again, this concludes our report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Good job. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone on behalf of the board for all of the gifts and gear for board appreciation. And as you can see, Ms. Jackson is wearing, the pink shirt is everything, y'all. We love, love, love all of them, but the pink shirt is everything. We thank you so much. We appreciate you. And it is an honor to work with you. At this time, we're gonna have our superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Miss Jewel, can you talk about who won the science fair? Did you want to talk about that at all? Miss Jewel won the science fair. She did a great job. So give her a round of applause. Great job. Talked about what she wanted to go into in college and all of that. Congratulations. Did I embarrass you? Okay. I do want to acknowledge everyone who came out for our DESI public hearing. The comments that we received from the representatives from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education was all positive. They loved the presentation. They loved the information that was being shared. They loved seeing our data. They thought it was very well put together and very well implemented. So I want to thank everybody who came out. They recognized our efforts, even sending me an email afterwards to talk about that. So thank you to everyone that came out. Thanks to our community, our Board of Education, our building administrators, central services administrators, and to all of the employees and parents who came out to that meeting. Thank you. I do want to, a special thanks to our partners at Little Bit Foundation and Soul Fishers, because they got some of our parents out for us, which was awesome. And then, of course, to our RGSD alumni, Ms. Jolena Johnson, who supported the community input portion of the meeting and kept the meeting going. So to everyone who participated, thank you for making that such a successful evening. The student rep stole some of my announcements, so I'm going to put a line through that one. MAP testing starts for our K through 8th grade. That will start I think it's next Monday, the 15th, next Tuesday, the 15th. That's 3rd through 12th graders. Make sure your students are present, have gotten rest, has had a good breakfast. We can also get them breakfast when they arrive, just to make sure that they are doing their best. As it relates to our accreditation, our Department of Elementary and Secondary Education will be looking at our test scores from last year, this year, and next year to decide our designation. So we want our students to do their best and be very well prepared. On Friday, February the 18th, the district is closed for Wellness Day. And so the entire district is closed. And then on Monday, the 21st, it's a Professional Development Day. So there are no student attendance on those days. So you all get a 4-day weekend. Can I get a clap for that? There we go. All right. They already talked about the prom, it's the masquerade ball. We are planning the Retirement Teacher of the Year and Support Staff of the Year celebration. So there is more information to come on that. It will be in May. And then, of course, our graduation will be May 22nd. That concludes all of my announcements.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move into our items of information.
Mhm. Our first item up for information is the STEAM Night. Making this presentation is Ms. Dr. Tasha Jordan, Science Curriculum Coordinator. Dr. Jordan?
Good evening, school board, Superintendent Patton, colleagues, and community. I'm thrilled to share a recap of our annual STEAM Night, which took place on March 27th at Westview Middle School. The event was a huge success, bringing together over 50 families to celebrate and explore science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics in action. Students and their families experienced an evening filled with interactive exhibits from an incredible lineup of community partners, including Missouri Botanical Garden, St. Louis Zoo, Challenger Learning Center, Black Girls Do STEM, Missouri Department of Conservation, Harris Stowe State University, and many more. These partnerships truly brought STEAM learning to life and demonstrated the power of community collaboration and education. STEAM Night reflects our district's commitment to college and career readiness by fostering academic excellence and rewarding student achievement in science. Best of all, this impactful event came at no additional cost to the district. Thank you all for your continued support in making events like this possible. We look forward to growing this tradition and expanding STEAM learning opportunities for all students. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Our next item up for information is acknowledgements of donations. Making this presentation is Ms. Deirdre Liddell, Executive Director of Student and Community Support Services, and this is in conjunction with Policy KH, Public Gifts to the Schools.
Greetings to the Riverview Garden School Board of Education, Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues, and community. Donations play a vital role in helping the Riverview Garden School District provide additional resources, programs, and opportunities that go beyond the traditional funding that we can offer. They allow us to support scholars and families in meaningful ways, whether through school supplies, clothing, food, or enrichment programs. We are fortunate to have many generous partners that help us extend our reach and deepen our impact. These collaborations allow us to meet a wide range of needs and enhance the overall well-being of our school community. With continued support, we can do even more to uplift and empower our scholars. The Office of Student Support kindly requests the Riverview Garden Board of Education to just acknowledge the donations on behalf of the district. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Liddell. Our next item up for information is the 2025 CCR CSIP update. Making this presentation is our District College and Career Coordinator, Ms. Khadijah TGN, and this is in conjunction with policy IA, instructional goals, priorities, objectives. Ms. TGN.
Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. My name is Khadijah Tijan, and I'm the District College and Career Coordinator. And I will be providing the CSIP update for the college and career readiness piece of the plan. This evening, we will be doing a quick overview. Next slide, please. We will be doing a quick overview of the college and career objectives and SMART goals. Then we'll discuss key accomplishments that we've had that since the implementation of CSIP plan, address CCR performance metrics as they relate to the APR report, share challenges and solutions that we are facing in the college and career space, and then just wrap it up with a portrait of a graduate. Next slide, please. Our district's vision for the college and career piece is really simple. It's to align the leadership expectations with district policies, expand our dual credit and dual enrollment opportunities, strengthening our college and career partnerships through community organizations and university partnerships, and provide supports to ensure that students are graduate and prepared to succeed. Next slide, thank you. Specifically, by June 2026, we are striving to have 75% of our seniors to complete a qualifying post-secondary assessment, ACT, SAT, ASVAB, ACT work keys, AP examinations and things like that. And I'll get to more of the details later in the presentation. Also, to expand our dual credit and dual enrollment opportunities through more college and community partnerships, increase the number of graduates earning a college and career technical industry recognized credential to increase that specifically by 10%, and then have the 4-year graduation rate to rise to 75%. Next slide, please. So currently we are in our second year of the CSIP plan and we've accomplished a lot, but I'm only gonna highlight just a few things. So some of the things that we've done is we've updated parent and guardian contact information quarterly. That's important because as we're trying to get our students connected to different resources, it's really important that we have the parents on board and that the parents have that information. So we've done a really good job of trying to make sure that we keep that information up to date. We've also increased access to ACT work keys, AccuPlacer, and ASVAB testing, so students have more opportunities to take these exams to kind of know where they stand, and not only just take them early, more often, but also earlier into like their junior year. We've also launched the Early College Academy with St. Louis Community College. Last year, we were recognized by St. Louis Community College for having the highest average savings per dual enrollment student. And we strengthen our student interventions through early alerts, tutoring, and credit recovery. We also, next slide, thank you. We also are currently developing a trades program with community partners for our students who are interested in hands-on careers and trades. And we've also been having a lot more of our students enroll in North Tech as well, so that they can also get different industry recognized credentials. In addition to the college and career readiness piece being important to us as a district, the APR has some areas that specifically relate to CCR. So next slide, please. Thank you. So just specifically, DESE defines college and career readiness as a student's participation in post-secondary assessments, rigorous coursework, graduation rate, and positive placement after graduation, meaning do they enlist, enroll, or employ somewhere? And we do 180-day follow-up. So, excuse me, sorry, it's a lot. It's kind of hot in here for me. It's hot. Thank you. Like it's a little hot. So from our 2024 APR report, we've gained full points in the areas of advanced credit, graduate follow-up, CTE expansion, and ICAP. So the ICAP stands for the Individual Career and Academic Plan. We did not receive full points in the areas of CCR assessments and 4-year graduation. I know that the high school will be giving their presentation about graduation and the graduation rate in the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to address that. I'm going to leave that and let them, and not steal their thunder. I'm going to leave that to them, but I'm going to talk about the CCR assessments later in the presentation. In the next few slides, I'm going to define what CCR assessments are, kind of walk everyone through how CCR assessments are calculated, and tell you where we are today. CCR assessments refer to ACT, ASVAB, AccuPlacer, SAT, and ACT work keys. I'm going to kind of take for granted that we're all familiar with what the ACT and ASVAB and SAT are, and I'm going to define what AccuPlacer and ACT work keys are. So the AccuPlacer is a multiple choice test that tests over reading, writing, and math, and it's really used by colleges and universities to assess where students are in those tested areas and help them kind of determine where they are in terms of do they need to be in remedial math or, remedial English, things like that. So that's kind of what that is. It's usually used at the community college level or trade schools. The ACT work keys is a product from ACT that is designed to measure essential workplace skills. And so ACT recognizes that not everybody wants to go to college. And so they developed the ACT work keys as a way to target those students who know they want to go into the workforce or who take certain trade and technical skills. And if the students who do well on this exam get the National Career Readiness Certificate if they do really, really well. In general, the thing that all these tests have in common is that they test over the same topics: math, reading, English, with a few science concepts. So this chart right here is kind of, if anybody ever goes into my office, they see it right above my desk because I'm looking at it constantly to calculate how many points we're going to get. So if we take a student, if a student takes one of those exams, even if they don't do well, we get 0.25 points. If the student takes the exam and scores in the ranges in yellow, we get 0.75 points, and it goes up from there. So obviously we see the incentive is for our students to take an exam. And then obviously we really love it if they take the exam and do well. The number is then added up for each student that we're graduating and then divided by the number of graduates and then, times it by 100. And then that gives us our percentage. Next slide, please. So in order to get 5 points in the CCR assessments, 40% of our students need to score an equivalent of an 18 or above on one of those exams. So for example, if we're rocking at a class of about 260 students, 30 students don't really have to take the exam. 116 students just need to take the exam, and we will of course love for them to take it and do well, but if they don't, they're not the best test takers, that's fine, we'll still get 0.25 points. 104 students need to take the exam and receive the equivalent of an 18 or above on the ACT. So we can go back really quickly to the previous slide. So you'll see everything in that yellow is the equivalent to an 18 on the ACT. So for the ASVAB, it's between a 30 and a 62. For ACT work keys, it's a 4. And then AccuPlacer has certain score ranges for each of the tested areas. So we need to have 104 students test in that area, and then 10 students scoring a 22 or above on the ACT. We can get 1 or 1.5 points respectively. So if we take all of those and we add it up, we can get that. That's how we can essentially get our 40 points. Where we are today, next slide, please. So we are guesstimating about 260 students between the high school and Success Academy. 10 students will not take the exam because by DESE standards, they're exempt from them because of different learning differences. 32 students who will take the exam, and so I've tested on Monday, and I tested yesterday, and I'm just testing the next couple of weeks in work keys, but they know they can't graduate if they don't take an exam. Isn't that right, Mr. Word? Exactly. He already knows. So they don't walk across the stage. So they will take the exam before they check out on May 9th. Then we have currently 195 students who are scoring at or below the ACT, 18 on the ACT. I just got ASVAB scores back, and I did have a couple of seniors, so those numbers will be adjusted soon. For example, I saw that a senior, I got this back literally yesterday, and I saw that a senior went from getting us 0.25 points to 0.75 points. So there will be some adjustments, and that's actually kind of what we're doing right now, are those students who we have an opportunity to kind of get them into the 0.75 range. That's what we're testing on, as well as those students who haven't tested. And then right now we have 5 students who are scoring between a 22 and a 25 on the ACT. And at this time, we don't have any students who are scoring in the 26 ACT range or in that column. So to turn it around, we've kind of implemented the following interventions. Number one, I think students like to be recognized. So we have a 21 Club ACT board that's right outside the counselor suite. Also, we're getting T-shirts made in-house by the business department. So they're designing it. So one, cuts costs, and two, it allows our students to put their creative juices to use. And so to encourage students to score high. And then also, this information is printed on the graduation program. So again, who doesn't want their name plastered and celebrated? So we're just communicating those incentives. Also, students are given extra graduation tickets if they score in that 21 or equivalent range. So a couple of students have voluntarily said, well, Ms. TJ, I will be glad to take the test again if I can get an extra graduation ticket. So they know that if they get a 4 or higher, they're getting an extra graduation ticket. And then during decision day, they're entered into a raffle to win an iPad. And then finally, we're just encouraging students to do their best. If we're gonna be honest, taking a test isn't fun. I don't know if you remember when you were in high school, but no one skipped to take a test. I sure didn't. I took the ACT 5 times just to get the score that I needed to get. So I understand where our students are. But sometimes we just kind of have to coach them through it, and sometimes just to kind of show them like, hey, this is, a means to an end, and just kind of having those coaching conversations with our students. Next slide, please. So even with the best of intentions, we do still have some challenges. And what I'm seeing performance-wise on the ACT is that it really does align with a lot of our EOC data. So for example, the percentage of our students scoring proficient or advanced aligns with the percentage of our students who are scoring at the college level readiness in math on the ACT, or getting a good composite score on the ACT work keys. So some of the things that I've kind of included in some of the things that I'm kind of seeing also are just general test taking skills and strategies and familiarity with the question types. So it's not necessarily that our students don't know the information. It's just that they could kind of just be thrown off by the wording. Nothing that a little test prep won't kind of resolve. Also, we're currently taking kind of the ACT on a Scantron format. And we're doing that really, and a lot of our students are digital, right? So we grew up, and I include myself in that, we grew up Scantron. This is still kind of new, but I've been working with the IT team to make sure that our systems and ACT has also been changing their systems to align with ours, so that next spring we'll be ready to take the ACT, all of our students will be ready to take the in-school ACT online to kind of reflect that. And then personally, I think also sometimes students don't necessarily see the relevance in why they're taking these exams. I mean, again, no one likes to take tests, especially if you're like, I'm not going to school, I'm going to trade school, or I'm going straight into the workforce. But I've seen ACT and College Board kind of revamp their exams to kind of make it more engaging and reflective of the real world skills and knowledge that our students need to have. So again, to kind of combat some of those things, we have an ACT prep class where we kind of over explain performance of how, hey, this is why you need to take this test, and this is how it can connect to your real world benefits, like the job in the military that you want, like you want to be IT or nursing, you're going to need to have a high ASVAB score. Or if you want to go to this specific trade school and you don't want to be there forever, you're going to need to take it seriously. And I think having those conversations, I have seen especially compared to last year, better scores with this class. And then finally, this year, we've partnered with varsity tutors so that students who do want that prep can take advantage of that. And it does it on their own time because our students do work and they are busy. So with varsity tutors, students can log in and choose either on demand or a structured class time, and it's completely virtual. They can use it through Clever. So even though the test taking data shows that our students don't do well anecdotally, we know anecdotally and qualitatively that our students still thrive. And a Riverview Gardens diploma really does mean something. So for example, next slide, please. After that. Thank you, thank you. So for example, 2023 grad, Ajory Green, when he was a student here at Riverview, he was also a North Tech student. And while he was a student, he took advantage of the CCDI program that was through Clayco and a few other trades programs. They all kind of got together trying to increase their diversity pipeline for students to get in the trades. And then he received a scholarship to Rankin, and then he graduated last May. We actually saw him when we went to Rankin last year, and he completed the Champions program, and now he's a union member for Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 562. And just so people understand that that's a huge feat because getting into the Plumbers Union is hard. Each month, they only accept 30 applications. And once they get their 30, they close down the application. And then they interview and they cut it down to another 15 people. And they really don't like to take people right out of high school. And so that's why they try to filter them into programs like that. And so now he is a full union member 2 years after he graduated. And so it's just something like that. And then next slide, I mean, it's stories like Tiana Hoy. She was a 2023 graduate as well. She also did North Tech, and she's at Harris Stowe State University in the law enforcement program. This year, the president of Harris Stowe personally selected her for the Black and White Scholarship from Nellie. So the rest of her tuition and fees are covered until she graduates next year, and she got a laptop. So that's her with Nellie and Dr. Colin Smith. Right to next to her is also, this is Trinity Roberts. So as you heard in our student board reports, we went to Chicago State University, where we currently have 3 students on full band scholarships because they love our kids. And she not only arranged for our kids to get auditions so that we could have even more kids go there, but then she was paying for our lunch. I was like, this is the benefits. This is what you do it for. She paid for my lunch. I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay, because again, all of her fees and tuition, everything was covered. She was like, oh, Miss TJ, and I got it. I was like, yes, Lord. I said, yes, God. So Trinity's there, Jeremiah and Gabe, they're all there. And then also 2 weeks ago for our Grow Your Own program, we ran into Jaheim Times, our 2024 Gates Scholarship winner, who was our first grade scholarship winner. He's majoring in business. And when we visited him, you can't really see it, that's him right there, that was our picture, but he told the students about his adjustment to college and shared with them that if you take advantage and you do the things that you're supposed to do while you're here at Riverview, you can do it just like he did. And so he was very transparent with them about the good and the bad of college, but also how to overcome challenges. And then bring it all the way until today. So next slide, please. Thank you. And so I could also say lots and lots of good things about all of our students because this class of 2025 is amazing, and you will hear a lot about their stories and graduation. I'm knowing this class, even Kishan, I didn't put him because you guys know him, but his sophomore year, he was doing internships at the Missouri Botanical Garden. He also goes to North Tech, does law enforcement. So our students, if you connected to and tap into the resources that we give to you, you can get all of the benefits and you can thrive. I'm not going to tell the full story, but between the two of them, you're looking at 2 full ride scholarships. You're looking at participation in Early College Academy, where we will have 5 will graduate this year with their associate's degree before they even get their high school diploma. You're looking at SLU Upward Bound participants. You're looking at lots of extracurricular activities between the two, between student government, between paid internships, between book club that will increase like your ACT score if you stick with it. And just to talk a little bit about Tamaria, she was actually supposed to do the CNA program at Tech, but I convinced her to do Early College Academy. And she was a little bummed because she's like, I really want to get the CNA certification. Well, SLIP, the St. Louis Internship Program, was like, well, we heard about your sacrifice. And so they're going to pay for her this summer to get her CNA certification. So that's just proof of, what's meant for you won't miss you. But also, we provide a lot of resources here in this district to make our students succeed. So I can go on and on all night, but we got a long agenda. So I'm not gonna do that. But even to this day, I have alums that are knocking on down the door to come and speak to our students, and it's hard to keep up sometimes. So some of them are just gonna come to decision day and we'll just do one big alumni panel. So last slide, please. Just in short, we really believe that when students have access to the resources and the support and celebrations, that they excel. And I think that you've kind of heard that. I know what the data shows, but I also know what the other data says too about our students being successful. This year, we've really worked collaboratively to kind of make our students excel in the areas that they need to, specifically under test prep. I've worked closer with the instructional coaches and also just some of our teachers who passed on resources to me that I knew nothing about to make sure that our students are more successful. So we're just going to continue to monitor the data. I mean, for those of you who know me, I have an Excel sheet that's very detailed about where students are and what students I need to target. And we're just trying to, again, meet that goal so that we can get our 5 points for the APR. And with that, does the board have any questions?
I think my question, good job.
Thank you.
My question is around collaboration with the curriculum and instruction department on the rigor. Because if it's alignment with MAP and only 23 students are college and career ready based on that data, it's suggesting that all the other ones are below basic. That's the category they're in with the CCR assessment. So it's suggesting that we have a concern academically, which we know that, but what is the solution to that? How are those particular content areas being evaluated as far as the delivery of the content? Because I feel like, and I've experienced this observation over the years with math, historically from our culture, math should be the area that our students excel in based on history, but it's the one that they have the most challenge in. So I think a further investigation into those academic areas are necessary because 23 being college and career ready is really not a good look for us. As far as paper, does paper offer some of the tutoring that is rigorous enough to support the kids' efficiency versus just the varsity? Is the question as well.
So, 2 things. So in regards to the math, we actually, it's like you were a fly on the wall in those conversations. So I've talked to the instructional coach, who is Mr. Lenoir, and actually the math department is making adjustments to the curriculum to better set students up for your very point about, look, math should be the area that historically our kids should do well in. Like, they know how to count money, they know how to do higher level math. So how can we shake it up to make it more tangible for them? So those conversations are happening. I'm not in all of those because my background is not a math background, but they do pull me in whenever possible. In regards to paper, we actually switched it out for varsity tutors. Because varsity tutors, you can have a person, like a face-to-face person to talk to versus with paper, you could just put it in the chat and someone will chat back. But our kids really need someone to talk to you. And they need to do it in, sometimes in the comfort of their own homes and things like that. But I'm not, if there's other things that that need to be said.
Ms. Nave, you're trying to say something. You just want to say it?
Come to the mic.
Come to-
That while it's not an excuse, this class has likely had a sub for math since middle school. This is the first year that we have had a fully staffed math department at the high school. And certified, fully certified math staff at the high school. This year is the first year. So this group could have gone since middle school with a sub for math. So while not an excuse, that it is important to note that.
Good context, thank you.
That's fine. Yes, McLean.
Ms. Nave and Ms. Teacher, you can sit there. Nobody's I agree, no, I'm not viewing it as an excuse. I'm viewing this as a fact. Okay? So, the varsity tutors, are those volunteers?
No, so actually it's an online platform. The company is actually headquartered here in St. Louis. But what it is it's like paper tutoring, only you have a live person that's virtual. That's the only difference. And
And see, I thought the paper was live as well. The paper is not live?
a live
do-
chat. So you could,
Okay.
yeah, and I think, and that's kind of why we wanted to try out. Varsity Tutors is giving us 3 years free. The struggle this year is that a lot of students got so used to paper that making the switch to Varsity Tutors has been a little bit of a challenge, but once the students are connected to Varsity Tutors, they like it better.
Because they're talking to a real person?
You're talking to a real person.
And
Or you see real video, like real-time video.
Okay, is this a 24-hour day access? They can access it?
For some of it, they have videos on demand if you can't do, because obviously since it's a live person at a certain time, like I think like 8 or 9, it cuts off. But there are especially on like a specific topic. So for example, if they're doing fractions and decimals, there's an on-demand video that a student can click on and then it'll walk them straight by, like line by line, if they miss the time period. Because our kids are night owls. They miss the time period for like the live chat, like live person tutoring.
Night owls, meaning
Night.
they don't have a bedtime time.
Well, or maybe they go home and take a nap and then they get up and they're up. Cause I do know that sometimes I get an email from them at like 1 a.m. about college stuff. So, and it could just be sometimes they take a nap. I know when I was in high school and I didn't have after school activities, I took a nap, but then I was up all night.
Okay,
Yeah.
so on the slide you had about, that is entitled, recap, something recap.
Yeah.
CCR Performance Matrix Recap, the one you
Mhm.
said we were gonna go back to.
Yeah, that's
You were
fine.
gonna, and you did.
Yeah.
Where the possible points were 10 and we have points earned 0. Does that actually mean like we don't have any?
That is correct. We don't have any, and if we were to go today to submit the APR report, that means we will not have any points because we need to have 40% of our students scoring at that 18%, 18 ACT or above. And we don't have that right now.
How many times can they take the ACT?
They can take it up to 10 times. They can take it 4 for free. And we pay, so we offer it in school. So we had it right before spring break on March 11th. We've targeted juniors and untested seniors or seniors who either ran out of waivers or wanted to take it again to get a higher score. Also, my students who have a 17, like I target them to take it again because DESE super scores, so they'll take, the highest of their scores, and super score them to
What
get
does
that.
super score mean?
So, yes, great, thank you. So super score means if they got the first time they got a 17, and then the second time they got an 18, they'll take 17 plus 18 divided by 2, and it'll be the 18, they'll go with the higher score. So they'll take different parts of the test and add them up and recalculate a new score, and usually it's higher.
How much is it to take how much do we pay for test numbers 6 through 10? Or 5 through 10?
So for the district, because we're free and reduced lunch, we pay about $50 and some change per exam. It will hopefully be a little bit cheaper because we'll go on next year because we're going to do it online. That's the hope. To try to do it online. We've been working with ACT to make sure our systems and their systems align so that it's not freezing.
So just to be clear, it's
Mhm.
not an option whether or not our student, it is.
No, it's not an
No,
option.
it's not
No,
an
they don't walk,
option.
they don't walk across that stage if they don't have at least the ACT work keys, AccuPlacer, ASFAB, or SAT. They don't have one of those exams, they're not walking across our stage.
So when they enter high school then, at grade 9, are we starting then to try to?
Not yet. So in the past, prior to the pandemic, we used to do ACT Plan. That was where students would take it and you could kind of get your score right then and there. But a lot of the things, the concepts that the ACT, SAT, even work keys test over are things that they're learning in 9th and 10th grade. So it's a little too early to be having them to take like the actual ACT test, but ACT does have products that we can test them early, that budget permitting, we will try to implement in the future. So
'Cause
that
I
we
think I took something called
you did pre-ACT.
They don't do that anymore?
They do.
Except for in the 10th grade.
No, they do, and we do. We just haven't. Pre-pandemic, we did it. Now, as I'm starting to get them back in the test taking mode, we haven't. I'm just being very, very honest. We have
Thank
not.
you.
Yeah, we haven't. And because right now my focus has been first that they understand that in order to walk across the stage, you have to take an exam. So I rejoined the district in 2022, and that's when we fully came back really from the pandemic. So now we're getting students not only used to back to school, but now back to school things. And what does that mean? So going in the future as a part of a 5-year plan that the CCR team has, we will start reintroducing the PSAT again and the plan test, budget permitting, because those tests are not cheap.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, with the prep or tutoring, have you considered as a strategy for the students who have done well to do peer tutoring? Have that been incorporated in any way?
We haven't. What I have done is I've just pushed students towards the avenues of how the students did well. So last year, for example, one of our board reps got a 26 on the ACT because she went through UMSL Bridges ACT prep program. So I use her story as an example to students to say, this is how this student got this 26 on the ACT. Go through the programs that she utilized so your score can go up too. And I think that that's been beneficial.
And then you mentioned as a area of concern is that they're just not familiar with the questions. So is there conversation about, I know that you may have an ACT prep course, integrating that more into the curriculum for them to be familiar with the questions so that they could perform better as well?
Yes. So I found out that one of our instructional coaches is also ACT prep like certified. And so I know that when she works with the ELA department, that is one of the PDs that she does do. And then this year is our first year of having the ACT prep class since the pandemic, since coming back. So the scores are across the board. So you have some students who did really, really well, and you have some students who, and again, the scores are still coming in because they took it March 11th. So I'm still getting them in literally daily. I've seen them across the board.
So for those students, the 100+ students that are in the below basic, are you seeing a correlation with their grades? Or are they making Ds or are they making As and Bs?
A's and
in
B's,
math?
but I think some of it is, and I just think about my own story. I took the ACT 5 times and I was a very bright student. The first time I just wasn't used to that format. And it wasn't until I had some prep, like my parents were like, all right, we're going to Sylvan, you're gonna have some prep, you're gonna have some time management strategies. And because the ACT, even it says that themselves, it's like, hey, should it be this, or no change, right? I wasn't used to taking a test like that, but I was scoring proficient in advance on the math test. So at that time, it was the math test, right? So I wouldn't say that it's that they can't take it. I think it's just a prep issue. And if we're going to be honest and we look at our peer districts where our peer districts they pay for prep and to be prepared for that. And I really think that's just what it is, because when our students do retake the exam, on average, their scores go up by 3 points.
Okay.
So that's why specifically, like if I see a student scoring a 17, even sometimes a 16, depending on the area, I have them, like I pressure them to take it again. Of course, they don't have to, but I think a lot of them through that relationship, they'll do it and they find that it's better. But the first time, it's new and it's different.
Have you you've already identified the 40 that you're gonna target for the 18? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
using you already know the tracker,
Yes.
my tracker. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, Ms.
Thank you.
Tejian, is there a plan to make sure that our 9th and 10th graders are in the ACT prep, preparing them for the structure of the questions on the test?
So yes and no. And I say that because yes, in the sense of if we can obviously hire more ACT prep teachers, that would be great. We only have one. If not, it's filtering them to those programs that offer ACT prep. So SLIP offers it, UMSL Bridge offers it, Upward Bound offers it, Hairstow Talent Search offers it. And I've seen students, whenever they are filtered and they go through those free programs, they're quality, because I've sat in on a couple on their quality, then yes, like they can. But I know some of it is it's also, we just have to have the talent pool, and we know we're kind of facing a gray wave of retirements, and not that many people wanting to go into education. And so it is a challenge. So yes, if we able to have the talent, but if not, our plan B, C, and D is to connect them to those community partners so that they can get that prep that they need so that they can do well.
I also think this speaks to just foundational, strengthening those foundational skills as they're elementary, so they build on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's relative to that. And also, just our focus, the CNI department is doing some restructuring, will be doing some restructuring to focus, to have people specifically focused in the math area and a group of them specifically focused in ELA as well. So
Yeah.
I think if we can start building from that level, then we're not chasing, because the
Yeah.
foundation is strong.
Yeah. And I think also too, it just kind of goes to like a college going culture and expectations. And I think now that we're in year 2 of our CSIP, the expectation is set that you have to do this. And if you don't take it serious, then you'll take it again. Or if we think that there's potential and room for you to grow, we're going to ask that you take it again. And I think that's, for the most part, we have students that will rise to the occasion and will try their hardest. And if they try and it doesn't work, they tried. And I think that they know that that's not an indictment of how smart they are or how bright they are, because if we really want to get into the weeds of these tests, we can make the argument that these tests really aren't designed for us, but I'm not going to give them that excuse, that leverage for an excuse.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna work within the system that we're in, and this is the system that we're in, and they're gonna try, and they have.
And so my last request is, can we partner with, the organizations, can we partner with them to try to make sure that our students can have that opportunity to get into the ACT test prep?
Absolutely. So they do right now. So they come, I need to find a good date for the UMSL Bridge program to give their presentation. But even that's why we administer and we pay for the juniors to take the test in early March. So that way they can register for these opportunities, because you can't be a part of the program if you don't have an ACT test on file. So we've already eliminated that barrier by having them take the test on March 11th. And even if initially they didn't want to take the test, but they show up on test day and I didn't put their name on the list, I let them take the test. So, I mean, we're not gonna stand in your way of wanting to do something for you. And as we said, we give the resources to our students. We take them on college tours. We connect them to programs that will help them be successful. A lot of our teachers invest in them. We invest in them. And so if you take advantage of the resources, good ACT score or not, you can still be successful.
Very good.
Thank
Can I
you.
just finally say, I truly appreciate your putting pressure on the students. That pressure is not a bad thing. I think that we're a little bit too lax with what we expect. And I can just listening to you, I think I'd want to rise to the occasion. So I appreciate that.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms.
I just wanted to ask, what is the training cost? Like, do the ACT prep teacher goes through some type of training? And I was just wondering what
So
the cost.
I'll need to connect with our instructional coach, because that I'm not sure. I do
Okay.
know that at the beginning of the year, I did connect with him because I had a lot of ACT prep materials. And when I was a part of the advising corps, I went through ACT prep training through Focus on Learning. It was like a train the trainer. And so I gave him my resources. And so I would need to connect with CNI to see, like, to know, because I don't know.
Okay, I'm just recommending that there be a proposal for all of the teachers in those content areas that they would test on, go through some type of training. So if we get the numbers and they go through the superintendent, then we can see what the budget might need to be for that training.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tijian. That concludes our items for information. We are moving into items for discussion. Our first item up for discussion is district lobbyists. Making this presentation is Dr. Coleman and Dr. Patton. Dr. Coleman, would you like to begin?
When we think about the state of education and all of the various laws and things that are being passed and the bills that are being passed, and a lot of them are not always in our favor or in the favor of districts that look like ours, we discovered that we need some support. We need somebody on our side. And so one way to do that is through a lobbyist. A lobbyist is a professional advocate who represents the interests of our specific organization and aims to influence legislation and policies and regulations by communicating with those government officials and policymakers. A school district would hire a lobbyist to advocate for their interest in the legislative process, ensuring their needs are met regarding funding, policy, and other relevant issues. By leveraging the lobbyist expertise and relationships, a lobbyist can help us because one, a lobbyist is someone who is familiar with the legislators. They know them. They, in many cases, worked with them before. And so that helps them to advocate for funding for us, to keep us informed and to stay informed about proposed legislation, and even to protect or promote the district's perspective, to go to that legislator and say, hey, this is how this would impact Riverview Gardens, and this is what we need. And so ultimately to help to sway their decisions, educating legislators or district concerns, that's also a lot of times, legislators are making decisions and they don't have an education background. There are people on the education committee who know nothing about education. And so then they make decisions based on what they know about business And our children are not a commodity. And so we can't handle schools the way we handle businesses, and we can't handle children the way we handle manufactured goods. And so, and there went my computer. But, so, Dr. Patton, if you want to.
So when you think about what we're facing with open enrollment, when you think about what we're facing with the voucher program as well as the charter schools, we, districts like ours will be in great jeopardy. Open enrollment will be devastating for us. Right now, it is poised to pass the House Senate Bill 711. It has a 3% cap on it, which means 3% of our students can leave each year should it pass. It also has an option to whether school districts can participate. In addition, it has right now, the transportation, should a student transfer to another district, the transportation becomes the responsibility of the receiving school. My understanding is people are, senators are there trying to remove the cap, which means anyone can transfer, any amount of student can transfer at any time. Also, the school district that the student is leaving will be responsible for transportation, and we won't have an option to participate. So those are the three topics that they are looking at right now. We were able to go to Jefferson City, I'm going to say maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. It was several of us, and we were able to talk to the person who put this bill, Senate Bill 711. Actually, it was Senate Bill 215 in the House, and then went to House Bill 215, and then Senate Bill 711. And I think we had maybe 10 minutes, maybe. That wasn't enough time. And my feeling is if we had somebody there advocating for us, this conversation could have started way before we arrived there, and maybe they would be looking at things very differently. They weren't looking at our particular demographics. When I asked the gentleman, I think his name was Brad Pollitt, who put House Bill 215 forward, he knew nothing about Riverview. He was from a rural school district. So I agree with Dr. Coleman in that decisions that are being made may not be decisions that are best for a particular school district. So as this idea came, I'm in agreement with it because I think we do need somebody advocating for our particular school district who knows what this school district is about, what it's been through, right? Because, we lost when we lost accreditation in 2007, we also lost almost $30 million in transportation and ADA. So when Dr. Coleman brought this idea, I am in agreement with it because I believe that we need somebody advocating for our particular school district.
A lobbyist would review bills of interest with us in December before the start of a legislative session. They'd also be there present in September for the governor's veto. And that's another voice on our behalf. In addition to that, if there was any legislation that we wanted filed, then a lobbyist could present that to the House and to the Senate on our behalf. And those are the relationships that we need, somebody, a voice for us, and a voice that is familiar with the politics, with the legislation, with the wording, so that we have the support that we're needed, so we're not blindsided by things. Because if, open enrollment is on the way, and other things, there will be more. And if we don't have someone supporting us and someone speaking out for us, we'll continue to be a victim of legislation. And it's a poor way of putting it, but that's about what it is.
So that concludes that presentation. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Miss,
Well, we have MSBA. And so my concern is, their purpose, I believe, was to advocate for all the school districts as far as legislation and anything that the body and assembly feels is a concern. So I think utilizing them is one of our priorities, but the other thing is, from being a state appointed board member to elected board member, I have not been to a single meeting where both our state reps and our senator has been invited where we talk to them about any concerns that we have, what we want want them to advocate for, what type of bills they might be presenting. And so there's a missed opportunity to build better relationships with them, to have that conversation about our concerns. So, I think that instead of spending additional money, that we could start with those conversations and making sure that MSBA is held accountable to advocating for the things that we're saying is our specific need. Because I'm sure it's shared with, our surrounding districts that have similar demographics.
And the MSBA does advocate for us, however, and I'm not saying, how does that work for us? But what I am saying is, we need someone specifically on our side, not, I mean, yes, for the whole state of Missouri, that's wonderful, but we need somebody advocating specifically for us. And yes, we have, you know, very Senator Mosley has been very supportive. Representative Fountain Henderson has been very supportive, but we need someone in there on that regular daily basis on that House floor, specifically advocating for Riverview Gardens and for education, because we know that Representative Fountain Henderson and Senator Mosley are also working on other bills. A lobbyist will be just for us, just for the purpose of education, just for Riverview Gardens. And I really think that we need that type of attention with what is coming, what we expect to come as we know it and as we expect it to become.
So I think that, your comment just made my point. You just omitted a state rep. That means that there is a relationship issue. If we omit a state rep that is a part of our district, we have to collaborate with all of them.
And that state rep is a part of our district. However, we understand that the choices that she has not been in our best interest. Charter schools and voucher Senate Bill 727, that was not in our best interest. Open enrollment is not in our best interest. We stand in the next 4 years with open enrollment to lose almost $4 million, because as they take the 3%, the first year, that's $1.5 million. The second year, another 3% of our students, that's another $1 million. The third year, it's like $9.7 million. Can we afford to lose $4 million? Because, you know, and people are saying, well, it's not about the money. It takes money to educate students. It takes money to pay teachers, to buy resources, to pay for curriculum, for busing and transportation. And yes, we do. We have enough. We have a representative where the relationship is kind of shaky because she's not making decisions that are best for us. And so when I was saying, I couldn't say that she was supporting us, so I didn't say, because her decisions have not supported us.
My only point is that we have not met with the elected officials to share any of our concerns.
We have. We write letters to them. They come to our board meetings. We talk to them. We went up to her office. Senator Mosley is in constant contact with us. Yes.
President.
Oh, I'm sorry.
because
Somebody
we-
over here had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Number one, it was Senator Trent from
Yeah.
Springfield who
That we talked to.
sponsored this bill, who explained to us his personal reasons. He's not on the education committee, number
Right.
one. So I'm sure that's not unique. I'm sure that's not, but it's a fact. So we're just sticking with the facts. And all we have to do is look at the voting records of our representatives to see what the facts are, just the facts. And I believe when a person is voted in by citizens to represent all the citizens in the area that they're responsible for, communication is a two-way street. And our meetings are very well publicized, and the phone rings when it wants to ring. So there needs to, I'm not saying that there should not be communication with the representatives, but I agree with the lobbyist, concept. We really need someone who truly has our best interest at heart, our best interest. And I don't feel like we have that.
Ms. Williams.
My next, I don't, Ms. Jackson, were you?
Okay, all right. So I do have a couple of things. Dr. May, you took my comment about MSBA. I know that MSBA have lobbyists who should be lobbying for education on our behalf. So just wanting to know how we connect with them and how do we, keep in touch with them to make sure that they are lobbying on our behalf. I know we went to the state meeting and they said what they had to say, but how do we, connect with them on a regular basis? Then I wanted to add about, Dr. May, I don't know if this is what you mean, but when I worked in a different school district, we had monthly what was called a legislative advocacy meeting. And the superintendent put that meeting on Friday mornings, one Friday a month. It was a breakfast meeting, and he invited all the local politicians that fed into our district. And so that was the way he got the word out about the needs of the district, and then those politicians could take it back and they could advocate for the district, and that was monthly. And in that meeting, it included the district leadership team, superintendent, and also local politicians. So that was in Rittner if you want a format, but it was monthly. And that was called Legislative Advocacy Committee. So that was one way of getting them involved. So when you say, well, they know when our meetings are published and they haven't been here, we could also extend a separate meeting to invite them in to see if that's another option before signing on to having a lobbyist. And the other question I have is, how many other local districts have a lobbyist that are in similar situations? Are there any that we know?
When you say similar situations,
Well, whatever we feel are our issues or our challenges, similarly situated districts, so that wouldn't be a Francis Howe, it wouldn't be a Parkway, it wouldn't be a, Kirkwood, it wouldn't be a Rockwood, so similarly situated districts. Are there any that have a lobbyist?
There are districts in Kansas City and Springfield that are very similar to ours, and they have.
But in St. Louis, do we have any?
no, not that I'm aware of.
SLPS.
Where
I
did you
believe
say they were?
SLPS had one, but I don't know if they still have one.
Where did you say?
Springfield and Kansas City. I remember when St. Louis Public Schools had, I don't know if they still do, but I remember when they did as well. I meet with MSBA monthly in the president's meeting, and we talk about what is to come. And then we have our conferences that we attend. One thing about MSBA is that they are representing the whole of Missouri, and the whole of Missouri doesn't look like us, and their districts don't look like ours. And so sometimes when and if you look at the representatives in MSBA, they don't look like us either. And so they don't necessarily share the same problems that we have. And MSBA has been very supportive, but a lot of the decision makers and the people in MSBA come from, like Senator Trent, those rural districts and those things. And so they are in favor of because it benefits them. It won't benefit us if we have to pay transportation for a student that traveled 35 miles to get here, because that's what Senator Trent said in Senate Bill 15. He said, oh, they should be able to go as far as 35 miles. Who's paying for that?
Yeah, so I would just want to finish up my comment. I just think there's another way that we could do it, that we should explore first before, contracting with the lobbyist. And I just think that legislative advocacy meeting once a month could be a way to do that, to connect with our local politicians.
So our meeting last month was with elected officials in the area. and we had a lot of people in the room, I don't know, 15 or 12 people. So we've really started that back up, trying to make sure that we're connecting with the community and the elected officials. And I actually think it's a great idea to have a legislative meeting with them. We also, I'm also in Monday meetings with MASSA, with the legislative the advocate there, and they're advocating for all districts. So not necessarily for a specific district, but just all districts in general. I think that is a great idea in terms of meeting with them and inviting our elected officials to be a part of the conversation.
And what about the superintendents of like districts coming together and actually advocating for the needs that we have? There's similar needs. So there are just other ways we can do it versus hiring a lobbyist, and I would like to explore other ways of doing it.
And I don't disagree that there aren't superintendents with similar needs, but I do believe that there are specific schools within our area that are at severe risk with open enrollment, with charter schools coming in, as well as with having the voucher program that other schools may not face. It's specific to two specific districts in this area that other schools may not face. Although, Ms. Williams, I think your ideas are great ideas. Thank you.
Did you have a question, Ms. Jackson?
Can y'all hear me? Yes, Ms. Monica, she actually said one of my questions, but my biggest thing is this. Right now, our district is in a financial bind. We do not have the money to be paid for a lot. We are eliminating positions. People are losing their job. We don't have that money. We need to do what we need to do as a board, which means we need to stand up, and we can't have meetings and don't invite certain people because of our personal feelings. So we feel like they didn't vote the way we want. We need to have everybody to have a seat at the table.
We've never not
No,
invited.
let me finish. Let me finish. We need to have everybody to have a seat at the table. We need to remove ourselves and do our jobs. We are board members. Some of us were elected and some of us were, but right now we all elected. Let me say that. So we need to do our jobs. We need to move self out the way. This district is at a financial bind, and I'm sure you all don't understand how I get emotional about this because you all don't go into the schools. I go to the school. We are affecting people's lives.
Yes, ma'am.
People are quitting. People are crying. People are not knowing. Some people are sick and they need their insurance. And we got the nerve to be serious about hiring somebody else, a lobbyist? How dare us? We are supposed to be representing the school district and the people that we serve. We were elected officials. We need to get on our job. And whether we like each other personally or not, whether we care for each other, the politicians that we have, they're there, their position. We're gonna have to get out ourselves and use what we got, which means we gotta stop this nonsense. We gotta get it together. We've called to do a job, and we gotta stop making excuses. Oh, they don't look like us. Guess what? We are the very ones that's hurting, the ones that look like us, because we're in here and we're talking about some stuff that makes no sense. We gotta get it together as a board, because as Dr. Patton always says, we're not gonna get any, we're gonna keep on being provisional, as she said, because it starts with the board. If we can't get it together and come together and get things together, they're not gonna never get their full accreditation. Shame on us.
Ms. Jackson,
Let me
everything you
finish,
say-
because
oh, okay.
I'm always getting,
Thought
and I
you
tell
were
y'all, I've been on this board for almost 3 years.
I wish you
and
stopped
sit-
talking. I thought you were
I
finished. I'm sorry.
sit back and I don't say anything, but I see everything. And I'm tired. The community should be tired. I'm really upset that a lot of people didn't get out here and vote because you don't get mad when the things don't go the way you want them to go. We did it to ourselves because we didn't get off our butt and go vote for our kids. Now we in these positions, you all need to hold us accountable, not just everybody on this board need to be held accountable. You all need to know who we are. You need to ask us why we're not going to the schools. You need to ask us why we spending money this and that and we cutting jobs. It's your responsibility, parents, to get up and fight for your kids, because if you do not fight for your kids, guess what? I'm sorry to tell you, and I love this because I've been in this for 22 years, we haven't been fighting for them. We're failing them. We need to get it together. And I'm looking up this way. I'm not looking at nobody but stick over here. I'm just tired of it. We don't have any money for nothing else extra when we've affected over 100-something jobs. And we're still gonna be affecting them. We need to use what we have. We got them people in those positions. They're in those positions. We need to call them all to the table. And we need to have a conversation. And not just with Dr. Pandick. We need to have a conversation. We need to let them know, hey, we helped some of y'all get these positions. Now we need your help. We got to open our mouths. We can't keep sitting back and not saying anything. Our kids are suffering. We are failing our babies. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't care if we like each other or not. I don't care what we personally feel for each other or those officials. We gotta invite them to that table. We gotta sit down and we gotta remove self and do what we need to do for our kids. Because at the end of the day, that's our next generation. Those are the ones gonna be taking care of us one day. And if we fail them now, guess what? They're gonna fail us later.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Ms. Jackson. Everything you're saying is absolutely true. But I'm not talking about personality conflicts and things like, and yes, we do need our legislators to come in and we need a meeting, and it's probably not gonna be a board meeting because there's not enough time, a special meeting to meet with them. But we also need something more. We need some more support. Now, the cost of a lobbyist is quite nominal for the benefits. And yes, we do have a reduction in force. And yes, people are, but if you can get one person that can get in there and lobby and touch the hearts and convince those lawmakers and those senators and representatives not to pass those bills, not to allow those things that will bring devastation to small districts like ours, to districts with student like ours. If you can get that one person in there that can convince them and that save us millions of dollars or that get us millions of dollars, then it's more than worth the nominal fee that is charged if somebody can go in there and get us X amount of dollars, because we've had opportunities to get millions of dollars. And because people didn't speak for us and they spoke against us, they took it back and we didn't get it. And we could have. And that happened twice in a year. So we need more than just us. I mean, we can write letters. We can write letters right now to senators and to congressmen, but we need a voice in Jefferson City that speaks for Riverview Gardens. We really do. We need a voice to help us get the support, to help us get the legislation, to help us get the funding, to help us get the things that we did not get when DESI took our accreditation and the support that we did not get. That's why we need a legislative voice. That's just my opinion. And it has nothing to do with personalities or liking. I would love for our senators and our elected officials that we vote for to support us and do things to help us and not hinder us. But we have to be honest with what it is.
Madam
Perhaps
Chair.
we should publicize those things, those bills and items that we were specifically harmed by not getting the support we
It's a
need.
good idea.
Again, if we would just stick with the facts of
Right.
what's going on, just the facts.
All right, Madam Chair, my last statement is, for the meeting that we did have last, when I did not see my representatives, I did ask them, were they invited? They said they were not. I'm just letting you know that part. But, for St. Louis Public Schools, the last date that I see something for is in 2023. They have what's called a legislative committee. It includes Board of Education president, vice president, the superintendent, some executive staff members, including chiefs of staffs, HR operations, the union, the CFO, a parent action committee person, and Steve Curl was their lobbyist. They do a local legislative update, and then they do legislative priorities. So they have a meeting set aside called Legislative Committee. Since last year, when we had board restructuring, we have not even been appointed or discussed committees as a board. So the part that she's saying about not going to the schools, it hasn't been facilitated, the committee. So legislative committee could be a route, but we cannot, no matter the decisions of our elected officials, We have to bring them to the table. So as long as I hear someone say I wasn't invited, then I know we got a problem. Because those are the individuals that are going back, making decisions, whether it's done out of animosity, whether it's done out of them having a actual intentional decision-making process in place. They're making the decisions and we're not communicating with them because we're not meeting with them. So
What meeting is it that you said they were?
the last meeting that we had here with the other elected officials, when I didn't see our state reps and our
That was
senators,
the
I
day when
asked
they
them.
were all in
They were
Jeff
in
City.
session.
Yeah, but I
understand you
still
were-
asked them,
Yeah.
were they invited? So
But-
whether it was
well,
in Jeff City or
did-
not,
Did you let
I
them know
just
we were
asked-
having a meeting? Did you invite them?
no, because that's not my responsibility. I did not coordinate this meeting. I don't invite people to meetings that you all coordinate. So you have to be
You
the
all.
one that say, this is the invitation to the elected officials. When I saw they weren't there,
What do you mean?
I
you all?
just
It's the
asked.
board and you're.
I did not that was coordinated by the superintendent. So I'm gonna invite somebody to her meeting. It wasn't publicized like it's a public meeting for everybody to come in.
Yes, it was. It was
Yes, it was.
publicized. It was publicized.
They did not get an invite.
But, okay, I hear what you're
That's all I'm
saying,
saying.
but it was publicized.
They did not get an invite.
And I didn't have anything to do
And it
with
was
coordinating
stated-
it either. and
Yeah,
I
but it was
invited my
stated that
elected
all the
officials.
elected officials got an invite. So all I'm making a clarification,
Session, so they wouldn't have.
but they didn't get an invite. So we gotta do better. That's all.
Okay, we are going to move on.
Okay.
They were in session, Dr. May, that's why, but that wasn't a slight on any of them. So I just want to make that known. We are going to move on. I'm going to assume that there are no other questions about that. So we're going to move on to our next discussion item, which is the HMA one-year contract extension. Making this presentation is Dr. Kimberly Mott, our math coordinator, and this is in line with policy reference IA, instructional goals, priorities, and objectives. Dr. Mott.
Okay, good evening, Riverview Gardens Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Tanya Patton, colleagues and community. I'm here to present a proposal for a one-year contract with HMH, our district's current math curriculum resource. This conversation is necessary because our existing contract with HMH is set to expire in June of 2025. Without an extension, our district would enter the next school year without an adopted math curriculum resource for K through 8, as well as the secondary math courses, including Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. While the Curriculum and Instruction Department initiated the formal textbook adoption process for the 25-26 school year, our team, after a thorough review, has recommended a temporary extension with HMH. Due to current budget constraints, continuing with HMH was identified as the most fiscally responsible path forward while still ensuring continuity and access to high-quality instructional materials for students and teachers. The total proposed cost for this one-year extension covering K through 8 mathematics as well as the math courses, the high school math courses, is $185,612.46, excluding the sales tax. A breakdown of the associated textbook account numbers for this expenditure is provided in the agenda item summary. As textbooks and instructional resources are essential tools for supporting teaching and learning across all grade levels, I respectfully recommend that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the one-year HMH contract extension for $612.46, excluding sales tax. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Dr. Mott. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Is next school year at 26-27 for the 26-27 school year, is the intent then to resume the normal textbook adoption process? Like, is this just like to get us through until we can hopefully have committee and review materials and?
Well, and we actually did all that this year.
Okay, but.
We
could
did all that
afford it.
this year,
Okay.
but leadership
Okay,
decided that it was fiscally responsible,
okay.
more cost effective to go with HMH and just renewing it for 1 year. And yes, hopefully we can resume the traditional pathway. But that's all up to, you know,
Right. And then
a
you
lot
can-
of things.
Let me follow
Thank
that
you.
up to say that when you're looking at, Desi's looking at last year, this year, and next year's test scores, the last thing you do is change the math curriculum. And
Right.
so as we consider that piece, understanding that, you know, it takes usually a math curriculum a year or two before it gets really grounded. We didn't want to switch math curriculums when our designation is depending on how well our students perform.
I agree. And I think it'll take away that learning curve that would be put in place if we added a new
Absolutely.
curriculum resource. So
Thank
does
you.
anybody else have any questions? All right,
Thank you, Dr. Mott. Our next item up for discussion is McGraw-Hill Digital Renewal. Making this presentation is Dr. Tasha Jordan, our Science Curriculum Coordinator.
Good evening, Riverview Garden School Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Tanya Patton, community and colleagues. I bring before your proposal to renew and extend the usage of the McGraw-Hill Inspire Science digital resources for grades 3 through 5 for the next school year. It is recommended that the Riverview Garden School Board of Education discuss the renewal of the McGraw-Hill digital resource not to exceed $37,587.75, and approve the item at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Dr. Jordan, you can move right into your next one, the Missouri Department of Conservation K-12 curriculum. This is in conjunction with Policy IGA Basic Instructional Program.
Okay, good evening again. I'm excited to present a proposal to adopt the Missouri Department of Conservation's K-2 science curriculum for our elementary classrooms. This curriculum aligns with our state standards and offers inquiry-based, hands-on learning experiences that help students explore Missouri's ecosystems while strengthening literacy, math, and social studies skills. The curriculum focuses on place-based learning, connecting students to their local environment, and promoting environmental stewardship. It also provides access to valuable Missouri Department of Conservation resources, including expert support and outdoor learning opportunities. I recommend that the board discuss this opportunity and approve the adoption at the next meeting. Are there any questions? And we do
Yes.
have representatives from Missouri Department of Conservation here tonight.
Yes, I do have a question. As far as professional development and rollout for the teachers.
So they can better answer that question than I can.
Jordan, and thank you for the invitation. In regards to the professional development, are you asking in terms of budgetary questions?
No, like, what's the plan for professional development and rollout so that the teachers can be comfortable with implementation?
Okay, there is no cost at all associated with professional development. The person who would be in charge of instigating our professional development is actually Scott Boyd. He's the conservation educator here for this region and this area. And he would actually be working with Dr. Jordan to be able to determine when those dates would be best. And then typically we will have several other conservation educators that might come from other regions to assist with that professional development. Just to give perspective, we trained all 583 Columbia 93 school district teachers in one day. And that was, yes, that was a feat on its own. But that was across 3 different school buildings. And then we had at least 9 different MDC staff available to be able to transition teachers from one station to the next.
So once they go through the training, what type of continued support for the teachers do you have? Like, do you observe anything about in regards to their instruction and implementation? What type of feedback do they get? What type of supports beyond the PD?
Typically, we leave that up to the district coordinator to be able to supply that feedback. And that's how it's happened before in the past. SLPS has actually adopted our kindergarten curriculum. And then they were the ones that developed out the scope and sequence for their district. And then they provided that on district support. And then I was available in terms of, I'm a curriculum coordinator, by the way, I did not introduce myself. I'm the curriculum coordinator of the Discovering Your Schools program, so actually help to coordinate and write the curriculum for kindergarten, first and second grade. And so SLPS has fully adopted it across for all of their teachers. But it is up to that district to be able to give that scope and sequence.
Okay. So I guess for you, Dr. Patton, like who would be responsible for that?
Our
project?
curriculum, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, as we do the PD development for 25-26, we would build that in. We have PD days built into the calendar. Most of them are at the front of the year, so in August, and then we have them sprinkled throughout the year. So if this is approved, we would work with this organization to make sure that our teachers are being trained on to effectively present the curriculum.
Okay.
We also recommend ongoing, so we recognize that there's a lot of teacher turnover, and so for SLPS, they adopted in 2023. And so this past fiscal year, for 2024, we actually wound up training about 16 of their teachers that had turned over. So we recommend having that continued relationship every year, and that always happens right at that beginning of August.
Thank you.
No question. So this is at no cost. This next year, forever?
Great question, because we're all concerned about budget. So we are also in conversations with our upper administration, and we are prioritizing costs for the Discover Nature Schools program. Kindergarten, first and second grade, we have put out there and stated we want to have print student materials no matter what. So that is priority number one. If that teacher guide, it's available in print right now, but if it has to go digital, we might have to say that one will go digital. But the print copies for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, it is important for those students to be writing in that data and recording it using those large motor skills. So that will always be available. At least the student materials will always be available.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jordan, is this a resource? Is it replacing something? Is it a supplement to the curriculum? How does this look? If I'm a kindergarten teacher, am I adding this to my science program or am I replacing something in my science program?
So
What-
given our current financial situation, I did a whole K-12 proposal for curriculum. So in order to be the most cost effective, McGraw-Hill will cost because those are the standards that are state tested for us. But then for K2, it will be the main resource.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item up for discussion is Federal Programs Comprehensive Literacy State Development. Making this presentation is Ms. Lakina Curtis, Director of Federal Programs, and this is in conjunction with Policy DD, Grants, Federal Programs and Projects. Ms. Curtis?
Good evening, Riverview Garden School Board, Superintendent Patton, colleagues, and community. This evening, I've shared information related to the Comprehensive Literacy State Development, also known as CLSD grant. This is a very competitive grant in which the school district has an opportunity to be granted funds to go towards professional development, literacy, and really high quality professional development for administrator, literacy coaches, and teachers. The grant itself is also committed to pre-service teachers, meaning in those early childhood years, starting at pre-K, to support them all the way through 12th grade. The purpose of the grant is to build capacity in the state across developing and implementing sustainable literacy programs. The one thing that I do want to read verbatim because of the state of our country, please keep in mind, all federal funds granted to the subrecipient are conditioned upon the availability and appropriation of funds by the United States Congress and the Missouri General Assembly. These funds are subject to reduction or elimination by the United States Congress or Missouri General Assembly at any time, even following award and disbursements of funds. Except as otherwise provided by law, the subrecipient shall hold DESE harmless for any reduction or elimination of federal funds granted. In the event of non-appropriation or reduction of appropriation, and notice the subrecipient shall immediately cease further expenditure. So I did want to read that verbatim just because of the state that our country is in regarding federal funds. However, this is a very competitive grant. They are awarding up to 20 early literacy programs and 80 LEA, so entire school districts. And it's an amount of a little bit over $5 million. So if that's 100 places. So if they do it evenly across the board and everybody gets the same, we could potentially receive about $58,944 for the district. However, if it's written very well, or if because the schools have to apply individually, each site could get that much on its own merit, if just depending on what is awarded. So with that, Federal Programs is requesting does the school board move forward with the application and acceptance of the CLSD grant? And if awarded, that amount will be brought to you all for information moving forward, and there will be a recommendation for approval to be presented later in this meeting. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Curtis, the last part you said that the schools would apply individually?
So
How does that-
unlike the normal Title I federal grant,
Mhm.
that is what I apply for the district. This is an individual school grant, and whereas, I'm trying to think of a good example. If you're familiar with SIG schools, where we had to, even though that was a big district grant, each individual school had to put forth individual data specific to their schools and what they were gonna do versus how it's done with Title I. That's the difference.
Okay, and you would still be managing this?
Yes.
And will you assist the schools with the application
Yes.
process? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, do we know how many schools might be interested?
I'm not sure. I know of two right
Okay.
now off the top of my head, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Curtis. Our next item up for discussion is Quaver Music Renewal. Making this presentation is Ms. Tanya Ross, ELA Curriculum Coordinator, and this is in conjunction with Policy IAA Instructional Materials. Ms. Ross?
Good evening, Riverview Garden School Board, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I'm offering up for discussion renewal of Quaver Music Curriculum. It is a full digital curriculum. It is a comprehensive program which includes lesson plans, songs, videos, and assessments. This will be year 3 in the event that the renewal is accepted. It is aligned to the national music standards, which then we are aligned to the national music standards, even though in the justification it says Missouri Learning Standards is directly aligned with the national music standards. The cost of the renewal is $12,600. It is recommended that we renew the purchase of Quaver Education Music Program. Are there any questions?
Ms. Ross, what is the feedback from the music teachers regarding this program?
So the current feedback is that they are utilizing the program, but I want to help you to be mindful that if we had 13 music teachers or 16 music teachers, then they could possibly have the skill set to venture out to other programs. At the elementary level, we have 5 of our 9 music teachers are certified. So we definitely need a music program that is comprehensive, that they don't have to do, a lot of planning work. The content knowledge is provided for them, and it's all in one place.
Sounds great. The price is so reasonable.
Digital platforms are normally cheaper than the actual hard book route.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Ross, you can move right to your next one, which is the renewal of Newsella. And it, again, the same policy, instructional materials.
Okay, again, Newzilla is also a digital platform for literacy. It does go across 4 of the 5 major disciplines. It is developed with high interest literary materials, in addition to In addition to giving the teachers the opportunity to differentiate instruction, the number one reason why our teachers love New Zealand is because they're able to teach across 5 Lexile levels at one time. And being that this is a K through 12, I'm sorry, it is a 3 through 12 program. It allows our teachers the opportunities to meet all of our students' needs. In addition, with the leveling of text, they can also have read aloud opportunities. They also have opportunities to create quizzes and other types of assessment, including written assessments, and that the content is vetted for our teachers. Sure, our teachers do like to spend time looking for additional resources. We won't call out that name, but there is one out there that they just love. But this one is already vetted. I will say, when looking at the data, this also would be year 3 if it is renewed. Every year, we have increased the usage of New Zealand. In last year, we trained our middle school teachers only for ELA. This past year, we trained all secondary teachers for New Zealand. And so in terms of increase, it was over 200%. So the cost of the renewal would be $48,000 roughly, and that would be across the whole district. Are there any additional questions?
Okay, so I love the idea of the 5 Lexile levels. I love that. Is there an at-home component? Can students access any of this content from home or?
So as long as they take their Chromebooks home, they can access the materials. And it sort of builds a case for them. Their area that they kind of peruse the most is what's automatically built for them as they use the program.
So it's interest-based, pretty much?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, Ms.
you.
Ross. Our next item up for discussion is our policy recommendations. Making this presentation is Mr. Travis Ford. And this is in conjunction with policy AA, JGD, JGR2, JGR1, and JGR2. Mr. Ford?
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Patton, colleagues, community. Tonight I bring before you 4 policies for discussion. The first policy is policy AA, school district legal status. This policy defines the legal foundation and governance of the Riverview Gardens School District in alignment with the Missouri Constitution and state law. The policy updates reflect changes to the Board of Education, specifying that the district is now governed by a 7-director school board, with directors elected or appointed in accordance with the law. It is recommended that the district accepts the revisions to maintain accuracy and compliance. The second policy is policy JGD, student suspension and expulsions. This policy outlines the procedures and authority governing student suspensions and expulsions within the district. If a student, the summary of it is if the student is expelled, the board will decide on a case-by-case basis whether to offer alternative education options, considering factors such as student age, offense severity, disciplinary history, and safety concerns. Expelled students may later apply for readmission, which only the board has the authority to grant. Those are the changes. It is being recommended that the school board accept the changes and additional language being added to policy JGD. The third and fourth policies are policies JGR1, JG-R1, and JG-R2. They focus on student discipline. Student discipline policies outlines the rules, consequences on a daily basis for student behavior in schools, on district property, and during school events. However, JGR-R2 is specific to secondary. Under the section titled Drug and Alcohol, both policies language is being updated to coincide with the board policies JFCH, JFCI, and JHCD. In addition, revisions are being made to address the rise in generative AI tools such as ChatGPT, defining their unauthorized use as academic dishonesty unless explicitly approved by the teachers. It is being recommended that the school board accepts the changes and additional language being added to policy JG-R1 and JG-R2, student discipline. Are there any questions?
I have one question. AI is in so much, I don't know how we can distinguish what tools don't have it to really consider it to be excessive or exceeding the authorized use. It's just in everything. So I think if we adopt this, we're gonna have to really have we might have to use AI to find out if AI being used, you know? So it's just, I don't know how we get away from it because everything we have, we're using some type of AI.
And in many cases, that could be the case. However, this revision to the language gives us an opportunity to have it in our disciplinary code
Okay,
as academic, and it comes now under academic dishonesty.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ford, is there somewhere in the student discipline book or something where it shows the progressive discipline and issues involving, what did you call it? Student dishonesty involving AI.
Academic.
So like, is there like okay, yeah, I wanted to know like the consequences.
Like first
progressive
offense,
discipline,
second
right.
offense.
How does
I am not
is that
sure.
printed anywhere? Well,
Yeah,
okay, I just
I'm
wanted
not
to
sure.
know.
We'll look it up. We'll get the answer for you.
That's
If it's not in there, this is a portion of making sure that it is in there and so that we can address it based off policy.
Okay, I
But we'll look
understand
that
the
up and get an answer for you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. The last item up for discussion is plumbers, HVAC technicians. Making this presentation is Mr. Scheid, Executive Director of Facilities, and this is in collaboration with Policy GDBA, Support Staff Compensation.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Patton, colleagues and community. Tonight, we bring forward an item for discussion relating to the compensation of our plumbers and HVAC position. This is a challenge the district has faced for many, many, many years. This has been a challenge to fill these positions between 5 and 10 years. We've, just to put it, just to frame it up, we've had our HVAC contractor on site for more than 10 years. And actually, some of their employees had more longevity than our employees do. So this has been a long-standing issue for the district, and it is very costly. The reality is, if you contract something out, we're obviously paying for that individual to come here and perform the services, but there's also going to be overhead and profit for their company. And so that is all in their hourly rate. That's just factual. That's just how the world works. But it makes just taking care of the basic things more expensive. So therefore, we, the school district, have to outlay more money just to provide those basic functions and support our schools. So as it's an issue with HVAC, it's also been an issue with plumbing. That's been going on for years and years. My understanding, there was a gap where we did actually have some plumbers on hand that we hired, but then that didn't work out, so we went back to contracting them out. So that has not been as long-standing, but it has been, more intermittent. And again, what we're facing is not unique to Riverview. It's actually becoming more and more common among school districts. So as stated in the background of this item, we are compensating at a level comparable to other school districts. However, it's ultimately not getting the candidates here. I mean, I could tell you over the last year, let's just take plumbers, for instance, I've had less than 10. Over a year and 8 months, I've interviewed less than 10 candidates, of which, unfortunately, while they were, I'm sure they could be a great addition to many organizations. They were definitely fresh out of school with a very limited experience. And yes, we would love to grow our own and help people grow and expand, but we have to have somebody with that core knowledge to be able to teach them. So, if we bring somebody in that's, very green and unskilled, we are setting them up for failure if we're not, getting them teamed up with somebody that has the knowledge, skills, and ability for them to effectively learn and grow in their job. So those are the challenges we're facing. Again, other districts, I'm not going to name them per se, but I could easily rattle off 5 or 6 districts in the St. Louis area that have the same challenge, where their existing plumbers and HVAC staff have reached that retirement age, so they're going to hang it up and move on. And unfortunately, those job markets have become so competitive on the private sector that we, being school districts, do not look as appealing as we used to. As we know, with COVID, there was a major exodus in many of the trades, which has left a void, in terms of manpower. And so those that remained in the workforce have been getting paid at a premium just to be retained and just to, allow them to continue to support those companies and their services. So that puts us at a disadvantage by being on the lower side of the pay scale. So what we're proposing in this scenario is to add more money into our pay ranges to make us more attractive as a destination.
And I do want to add, as we looked at our budget, in our budget reductions, I did identify that in the 23-24 school year, collectively between the plumbing and HVAC companies that we use, we spent over $1.2 million for their services. And we can employ 5 of them and save at least $700,000 at the very least. So as Mr. Scheid said, what we are proposing is that we add $4 to the hourly range of our HVAC and plumbers so that we can hire our own, which will actually help us reduce our budget. Are there any questions? $4 an hour adding, yes. Yeah.
Madam Chair, we have 2 questions. You want to go first? Go ahead.
I can wait.
My question is around collaboration with districts, like in a workday, the HVAC person would be doing what in 8 hours?
I mean, just to frame it up, any given day when we come in, we have between 15 and 30 either hot rooms or cold rooms that we have to respond to. When we get a little bit of a break or a lull in the business, then that's when we then focus on our preventative maintenance, which is changing filters, checking belts, lubricating fittings and so forth. So, because obviously if you don't do those things, the equipment's not going to run optimally and it's going to shorten its lifespan. So you have to, take advantage of the seasons when we have, lulls in activity. When we get more moderate temperatures, that's when we do more preventive type maintenance. The way school district heating and cooling systems are structured, for instance, we have a lot of units that work individual rooms. So that means we have hundreds of possibilities of things that could be broken or malfunctioning because, each of those rooms have their own single unit that supplies their heating and cooling. So it opens up a broad possibilities of the volume of calls that we may get. While we do have automated systems in place, in most capacities that do allow us to at least survey where our problem areas are and try to pinpoint and troubleshoot specific problems that, may affect a larger scale of a building. There's still a lot of ground to cover, with all of our buildings district-wide.
So sharing staff across different districts wouldn't possibly be effective, or is that an option?
I guess it would be an option if somebody, meaning another neighboring district, actually was fully staffed themselves. And I could tell you, in my former district, I ran into the same challenge, and it was by no means resolved. I had to go out and actually go shopping and hire some of my contractors at a very, pricey cost per hour. I mean, I'm just being candid, it was in that $45 to $50 an hour just to get somebody that had the level of experience and was willing to come here and work. So, that was what we had to do and that was not to get us fully staffed. That was just to keep us functional so that we didn't have to go out and hire out the whole service, to a contractor.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to see a salary comparison between the other school districts, similar school districts, and the salaries that we're offering. And also, if we're trying to compete with the private sector, could we get a salary comparison there too, just to see where all this lands? I understand the issue, I do. And then also, what is the recruitment plan for plumbers and HVAC workers? Are we partnering with any trade schools? I mean, what are we doing, Mr. Ford? What is the recruitment effort to fill those positions?
So over this past year, we have gone out to all of the different, to most of the trade schools. We've tried to work a partnership with them. We wanted to work with them, let them know the types of positions we have to try to recruit those staff members that come right out of school. And I know Carl really says we have a need for people who have boiler experience. So those are people who have extra experience. However, they're coming out of school and they're making more than we offer. And so even when we go and we talk to them and we try to recruit them once that time period comes along, from Rankin, we went to workforce development up here. We've gone to other places. When they come out, our offer is just too low.
So with this revised salary, proposed salary, would that close the gap, or we would still be struggling?
I mean, to be honest, it'll put us in a better position, but I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to yield us success, but it's definitely going to give us a greater possibility of the status quo, which has not been effective, whatsoever.
So have we considered growing our own? I know you talked about that. How long does it take to grow your own?
Well, so, in that scenario, you need to have some seasoned individuals so that you can then intentionally hire some rookies, so to speak, so that you can then develop them. The ideal situation is if you can have, so let's just take HVAC. We have 3 positions, 3 allocations. If you can have a highly seasoned, moderately seasoned, and then a rookie, that is the ideal framework that you need to have in place so that you can then have sustainability and continuity in that, knowing that my seasoned veteran is going to probably retire in a couple of years, but that mid-range person has gained a lot of knowledge while they're here, and they've been working, both the senior and the mid-level person has been working with the rookie, so that there will be a natural progression where that mid-level person will become the senior, the rookie will move into the mid-level, and then we would bring another rookie in. That would be the more ideal, sustainable structure to having a continuity to it.
Just one other piece. When we had Project Manhood last week, we had it last week, we had several unions to come and they brought their apprenticeship programs. They talked to the students about it. But even when they talked to those students, they said, once you become union and you go through our programs, you'll come out making about $150,000 with salary and benefits. And so it was attractive to our students. However, that's not where our salaries are for that at the moment, but we did bring them in. Our students were very interested and they want to come back out. One of them was one of our vendors from J West that came and talked to the board once before. They came out as well and they talked to our students about it. So we're working to get, I see smiles going on after I said that.
Look, I'm looking at the staff. They like, we about to do an apprentice program.
I just want the information to get to you all about, what they're saying. And these were people who are in the field. And they came out and they talked to the student. They want to come back and help get them into the programs. But right now, we have to get our salary track.
Yeah, we did a salary comparison with at least 5 or 6 different schools. We are in line with where we are currently. We are in line with them. They're also using contractors. So we have to, I mean, spending $1.2 million for that service last year, we have to do something. Ms. Williams, you asked, is this enough? I don't know if it's enough. It was what I thought was palatable in the midst of doing a RIF. And I agree with Mr. Scheid, it might not be where the private sector is, but at least it would give us some kind of advantage in the possibility of hiring. Coming out of trade school, making 150,000, the 21-year-olds or 22-year-olds, you know, they're going to the private sector. So we're just trying to improve our options so that we can actually reduce the cost.
Dr. Patton, was the 1.2 you referenced HVAC and plumbing or just?
Yes, it was 667,000 for one of them and 453,000 for the other one that we spent in the 23-24 school year.
Thank you.
So it's saying, online, $75 to $150 is the minimum service call. The service call fee is 75 to 200, but the hourly rate is 75 to 150. So. Mhm.
Yeah, and, you know, and then the challenge with school buildings is the fact that we're dealing with commercial grade equipment. So, you know, our plumbing systems and our HVAC systems are commercial level. So it takes somebody a little bit more seasoned and knowledgeable that has had that exposure to that type of equipment. You know, so for instance, a young man or woman coming out of trade school has had very limited exposure to commercial grade equipment. They have more familiarity with residential grade
Yes.
HVAC equipment and
Yes.
plumbing. So there's a bit more of a learning curve to get it to that next level to have that experience, you know, that base of experience with commercial grade equipment.
So one last comment, I would like to make a proposal. I think that for filter changes, there may need to be a rate, but when they do repair, I think it should be a different rate for that same person within the district. Then I think it gives a little more fairness for their technical skills when they have to do a repair. I know that's a unique concept, but it makes sense. If I'm just doing filters, what that rate is, you know, it doesn't need to be high, but if I'm doing something technical, then my skill needs to be paid for that. And then maybe we can get the results that we need in that way, making a proposal that flexes based on the work that they do.
Are you referring to the contractors or to our own
I'm talking
district
about our own
employees?
employees, yeah. I mean, it's a different concept, but when you're gonna use your technical skills for the work that you're performing, then you flex it for a higher amount than their hourly rate.
Yeah, I mean, and ideally, even if we, you know, if we had some of our own, that would be definitely
Yeah,
be
that's
more
what I'm saying.
manageable,
Yeah.
but we've been in this situation where we haven't had,
Mm.
you know, people in these positions on a regular basis.
Pay them a decent hourly rate, what they want, then you don't have to worry about getting so much money to change a filter, whatever. They'll just be staff with the Riverview Garden School District and with the said hourly rate, right?
Yes.
And you don't have to give them anything extra for doing their job.
No, their job would be to change those filters and check those belts and, you know, and maintain the equipment and then troubleshoot any problems that we have.
So Superintendent, I'm sorry. May I make a comment, please? So this is a multi-layered problem, challenge. I have family members and people I know who are in this profession. To become a master plumber, you have to work as an apprentice under an experienced plumber for 10 years. 10 years for you to be able to master all possibilities of what may happen in plumbing. I have a friend who's a superintendent for a major construction company. A lot of our young people live different lifestyles than some of us. And they think that because the use of cannabis is legal, they feel like they should be able to use cannabis and still be an employee of the construction company because it's legal. Not if you're 20 and 30 feet above ground working with equipment, you cannot. There have been several, and I have witnessed several potentially great candidates who just did not want to give that up. So, and the fact that we don't start this in high school like we used to. All of these things, all of these societal things are contributing to why we are behind the 8 ball right now in these kinds of professions. So I understand I know you're doing the best that you can. You can't get anyone to work if they don't want to work and they don't want to do the work. We have to somehow or another make this attractive more, and our skill set, working with your hands, has got to go back to being valuable as before it became not valuable. So that's a bigger issue, and it's a societal issue. I know you can't do anything about it, and none of us particularly can, but all of us can, to help encourage our young people to go in a different direction.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will say that, Ms. Williams, we will bring back the private sector and the public and the school. We did do a comparison of several school districts, comparing what we are currently offering, what they're offering. And the fact that we spent so much money last year tells me what the private sector is charging us, but I will bring that forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shine. Madam President, that concludes the items for discussion.
Items for action.
Here on to items for action.
Items for actions are federal programs and comprehensive literacy, state development. I have a motion to.
Madam Chair,
Motion to approve that.
that we accept the recommendation to approve the federal programs comprehensive literacy state development grant proposal.
Second. It's been moved by Ms. Williams and second by Ms. Jackson to approve the federal programs comprehensive literacy state development grant. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This is PLSD 707. Is that the same one? Yeah, that's the same one. Okay. Well, with that being said, that's all that we have under our items for action. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. It's been motion by Dr. Elliott and second by Ms. Jackson that we adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you and have a good night.